a career that I worked really hard in, that I'd put a lot of my time. Mentally, I thought I'd gone mad.
Everyone's talking about how AI is completely wiping out all of the tech jobs. And as a tech founder, I've worked with hundreds of builders and startups, some of whom have gone on to raise hundreds of millions and even billions of dollars. Tech is not dying, it's just evolving, which means that in 2025, the path to success looks very different. And if you're playing by the old rules, you're probably going to get left behind. So if I was starting all over again, this is exactly how I'd build my own future in tech. But first, we have to understand what's actually changed. The last few years for tech has been very good and also very bad. Big tech layoffs. So Google, Facebook.
Today, Meta employees are finding out if they're being laid off as part of a new round of performance-based job cuts.
And recently even Microsoft as well. I read a recent post by somebody who'd been at Microsoft for literally like 20 years, just got laid off like that. So unemployment in tech in the US has spiked up to, some people are saying, even as high as 5.7%. And it looks like the opportunities are disappearing. But if we zoom out, there's a pattern that suggests the exact opposite. For example, before Facebook existed, tons of businesses relied on ad agencies for marketing. They'd create content for television, billboards, but then fast forward to when Facebook launched, Facebook ads completely changed the industry. Because now anybody that runs Facebook ads also has a ton of data to understand their customer behavior. And so loads of old school ad agencies went out of business. But at the same time, the ones specializing in Facebook and now Meta ads, they started dominating the market. And when a bunch of new startups and companies are born, more jobs and more opportunities follow. So old tech roles are fading, but new ones are emerging. Companies aren't eliminating tech jobs, they're just shifting their priorities to keep up with the demands of the industry. According to LinkedIn, the fastest growing job right now is an AI engineer. The second is an AI consultant. And looking at the startup world right now, some of the fastest growing companies in the world are AI. So the question becomes this: how do I take advantage of these opportunities? We used to have to spend tens of thousands of dollars, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars, on a CS degree even to be considered. And whilst I do still think that companies value a tech degree, it's not just enough on its own. Let's take coding, for example. Entry-level software engineering jobs are down 35%, while generative AI jobs have surged 170% because AI outperforms the average engineer on pretty much every single task. So trying to land an entry-level coding job today is sort of like trying to sell a bicycle to somebody who owns a car. And I'm not specifically talking about AI, although right now that is definitely a big thing. The truth is that in a few years, there'll be another technology disruption. And when that happens, this entire cycle is going to repeat. One of my big bets is, of course, Web3. That's because Web3 is going to replace huge amounts of the typical stack that people need to know. There's a lot of talk right now about how Web3 and crypto are going to become the value layer of the internet. And so that means that even the way that payments work is going to completely be changed. We're potentially going to have the opportunity for people just to pay each other natively and directly. So if you are an engineer who just knows Stripe, for example, or PayPal, maybe you're going to be out of a job because that is your sole skill set. So it's not just enough to know about how Stripe works, how these different banking APIs work. You're going to have to know about how stablecoins work. You're going to have to know how you write smart contracts and deploy them on Ethereum or Polygon or Solana, or maybe even how to use Bitcoin. So if you are struggling to get hired for a traditional tech job, it's because you aren't leveling up your skills for this new world of tech. But just trying to get a job and work for a company isn't the only way. And I don't even think it's necessarily the smartest way if you want to move fast. Which brings me to my next point. Climbing the corporate ladder isn't the only way to get ahead in your tech career. In fact, I think that the smartest thing that you can do is actually to build your own startup or join an early stage startup team. The caveat here is, of course, you'll probably earn a little bit less money when you start out. But if you're just getting started, money shouldn't be your primary motivator. You need to learn and get experience, so you should be optimizing for that. And at a small startup, you'll get the opportunity to dip your toes into tons of different areas of the business. Now, if you're building your own startup, you're going to be doing literally everything yourself. And you have the added bonus of pressure and high stakes. So you're going to have a ton of understanding of how a business operates, how tech operates, how sales operates, marketing, operations, and comparing either of those paths to working at a company where your boss's boss has a boss, you might only be able to contribute to a very small part of the project. I think that the key thing that's going to differentiate you, at least at this moment in the trajectory of AI, is to be extremely extremely specialized. AI is really good at knowing a lot and being maybe better than average at a lot of things, but you can add that sector-specific knowledge that AI was never trained on. And here's something that's also changed. It used to be completely impossible to build a startup by yourself, but with the technologies that we have today, it's almost becoming the standard. And later in this video, I'm going to talk about a huge opportunity that can help you get paid to build your own idea. Now let's move on to point 3. Build your street cred. In the past, you could be completely invisible online and just rely on a resume to land an interview. But today, that's pretty much playing the game on hard mode. Think about it this way. When you meet someone new, what's the first thing that you do? You probably ask for their Insta or their LinkedIn if they're in a business context. And that's key, because most people don't put a whole lot of thought into their profiles, when actually it is going to be such a missed opportunity to showcase your work, your accomplishments, your ideas, if you don't put that out there. So if you want to earn more in tech and you want to have a better chance of getting that dream role, you have to make it easy for people to understand how valuable you are. If there are two identical candidates on paper, but one has no social and the other has an amazing public portfolio with content that's completely aligned to the company's culture, which one do you think has a better shot? Now, I'm not saying that you have to become a creator. You don't have to necessarily make YouTube videos all the time or go on TikTok, but you do just need to join the game. Talk to people, post your projects, contribute open source, and that's what's going to enable you to get a lot further. For us, for example, whenever we're hiring, we're looking at their GitHub repos. We're looking at where have they contributed, what have they contributed to in the past. And I get it. It's scary to put yourself out there online. There's also a different way, one that I alluded to earlier, where you can make connections and get paid to build a startup. And that is come to hackathons. Hackathons are some of the absolute best places to network with people who can provide you with tons of opportunities. Especially if you have an interest in building a startup, it is the best place to test your ideas, either alone or even with friends. Every great founder has a co-founder. Steve Jobs had Steve Wozniak, Bill Gates, Paul Allen, and shortly after, Steve Ballmer. Even at my own startup, there's no way I could run things without my co-founder and brother, Dom. Being a solo founder is a really hard thing. You're going to be down at times. It's going to be hard. There are going to be times when literally nothing works. Having somebody who's there is just going to be so important. Hackathons allow you to find those people. They allow you to get into those really intense situations and just understand how to build fast, build under pressure, and network. And that's why we've been hosting hackathons every single month all around the world. And we've literally had the craziest startups come out. One of them really become a unicorn. So Cognition AI, that actually was founded by a guy called Walden Yan, who was first pitching his idea for a decentralized DALL-E. So that's like this AI image generator. And then we had another startup that got funded by A16Z Crypto. I can guarantee that if you focus and follow these steps, you can absolutely build a future in tech. And that's no different today compared to any other time. Tech has always been, by definition almost, at the forefront of everything that's fast moving. But that also means that it's a volatile industry. It means that if you're not on top of things, you're going to be out. And if you want to move faster, then check out this video where I break down exactly how to launch your own startup.